music mogul with a big mouth is sitting in a federal courtroom, hands covering his face, attempting to escape words that could ruin everything he's worked for. What could be so terrible that Sean Diddy Combs, a man who has lived in front of television cameras his entire life, now can't even look up? Hold tight, because what you're about to discover will make you uncomfortable. One of his previous victims recently testified and revealed shocking information about a secret torture room in Diddy's estate that left him in disbelief. And let me tell you, when I describe what was going on behind those closed doors, you'll understand why even the toughest of individuals would want to run. But come on, this isn't just about one piece of testimony. This is about a pattern, a system, and maybe the end of one of hip-hop's biggest empires. So grab your coffee, get comfortable, and let's dive into this entire mess. Let me set the scene. We're in a Manhattan federal courtroom, and the air is thick with tension. We've sat for days through shocking testimony from Cassie Ventura, and just when you think it can't possibly get worse, meet Jonathan Oddie. If that name doesn't ring a bell, don't worry. Everyone thought this guy was just some crazy person looking for attention, but they were wrong. He said something that people found ridiculous. I was Diddy's sex slave.
Basically, he would masturbate and tell me what to do with Cassie. I had like 15 encounters, and I heard a lot of business, because what they would do is Sean talks a lot on the phone and on the TV with speakers and stuff, and I was like a sex slave.
But then things get serious. Fast forward to 2025, it's federal raids, trafficking indictments, and suddenly it's not so funny anymore. Now that crazy guy's story doesn't sound so unbelievable. So there's Oddie in handcuffs, wearing an orange jumpsuit, shuffling into court like a ghost from a bad horror movie. And when Judge Subramanian told him, "If you've been silenced, today is your chance to speak freely," he sure did. It is here that Diddy covers his face. Oddie didn't make vague accusations. He got specific, painfully specific. He talked about being invited to Diddy's Bel Air mansion, and this wasn't your average Hollywood party. According to him, this was the moment he was chosen to become a sex slave. But this part shocked me. Oddie claims he was forced to have sex in front of an audience, and cameras were rolling the whole time. Oddie then went on to discuss what workers at the company referred to as freak-off parties. And no, these weren't your typical celebrity hangouts. He explained that they were disturbing events where Diddy was in charge. There were many people involved, young women, men, and even celebrities whose names will surprise you. Tyler Perry, Oprah Winfrey, and Leonardo DiCaprio were mentioned. Now, don't go and overreact, but these are accusations based on testimony. But the fact that these names are even whispered in a federal courtroom, that's terrifying. Oddie explained how the baby oil was used regularly. It wasn't for moisturizing the skin, but combined with something to intensify physical sensation. There were bottles everywhere, unlabeled, and it was reapplied every 5 hours. I mean, what kind of sick operation needs that much preparation? But the worst detail Oddie told is, I witnessed at least 20 people being forced to perform one night. I was one of them. Now, throughout this testimony, Diddy is there, trying to stay composed. But you could see the cracks starting to show, shaking hands, trembling legs, his face growing paler minute by minute. And then Oddie shared something surprising. I nearly took my own life. I wrote a suicide note, but I didn't because I realized I wasn't alone. That's when something snapped. Diddy suddenly rose to his feet, his voice low and angry. This is nonsense. I don't even know this man. He's crazy. Can you imagine it? One of the most composed figures in show business completely losing his temper in federal court? His attorney immediately pulled him down, but it was too late. Judge Subramanian slammed the gavel so forcefully I feared it might break. Mr. Combs, sit down. No outbursts will be tolerated. But this is the thing that makes this entire situation even darker. Oddie wasn't alone. Not even close. Then came Gina Huyn, a former singer hopeful who was connected to Diddy back in the early 2000s, and her story described the same disturbing scene. He told me, "Gina, I can make you a star, but you have to trust me completely." That trust nearly destroyed me. Physical beatings for not answering the phone in time, forced sex, total isolation and manipulation. My phone was monitored, my money was controlled. He gave me gifts, but they were just tools of control. And then there was the part that made even tough-minded court reporters flinch. I had to have several abortions. I never got to choose. He said having kids would ruin the image. I mean, what kind of monster? Just when you thought things couldn't possibly get any worse, the prosecution called in Marcus Slim Ford, a former Bad Boy Records executive. Sean Combs ran his company like a cult, Ford said. There were rules, hierarchies, and punishment. If you followed, you were rewarded. If you didn't, you were out. But here's where it gets interesting. Ford explained that cameras were secretly installed in most of Diddy's properties. It was about having an advantage. He taped everything, not just for himself, but to protect himself. If someone misbehaved, he had video evidence. As Judge Subramanian asked whether there was videotape proof of what had occurred in court, Ford nodded and said, "If those tapes hadn't been deliberately destroyed, they're out there, and they would prove everything." Speaking of tapes, this is where the story takes a twist that even Hollywood couldn't make up. The prosecution revealed that they had a warrant to examine archived video from one of Diddy's mansions. The video had allegedly been erased, but was later recovered from a cloud storage backup. Diddy's lawyers quickly protested, complaining about the invasion of privacy, but Judge Subramanian wasn't having it. If the video supports criminal charges, it can be used as evidence in court. When some of those fragments were displayed to the jury under high security, courtroom members said that the jurors were visibly shaken. Some put their hands over their mouths in shock, turned their heads away, and had to take breaks to compose themselves. Among the scenes described was a room filled with flashing red lights, pulsating music, and individuals looking disoriented or unresponsive. And at the center of everything is someone resembling Diddy, giving orders, addressing attendees, and appearing to be totally in control. The prosecution then called Jane, a woman whose identity was so well protected that her voice had to be altered, and she testified behind a veil of secrecy. "I was 19. He offered me a modeling contract and told me he saw something special in me. I was young, innocent, and I trusted him. It's a nightmare that repeats itself. There were promises broken, drinks laced with drugs, and waking up hurting with no memory of what happened. I found bruises on my body, marks I didn't even realize I had. I asked one of the women there what happened, and she just said, 'You'll get used to it. You will get used to it.' Take that in for a moment. What makes this case bigger than Diddy alone is that it's not just about an individual man's alleged crimes. It's about a system built on power, silence, and fear. The prosecution presented a note from a former employee that explained how to prepare guests, keep things secret, and clean up messy situations. This wasn't impulsive behavior. This was planned, intentional, protected. Marcus Ford explained level 3 visitors, people who were masked, brought in through private doors, and never identified. These were high-profile individuals, athletes, politicians, celebrities. If those tapes were ever shown publicly, careers would be destroyed overnight. What we're seeing isn't just a trial, it's a cultural earthquake. For decades, Diddy represented success, ambition, and excess. The American dream in designer suits and platinum chains. But now, that image is crumbling, not because of jealousy or conspiracy, but because the truth, long hidden beneath reputation and wealth, has finally broken through, and the reactions reveal a lot. 50 Cent, someone who has been questioning this situation for years, shared a courtroom sketch of Diddy hiding his face with the caption, "Wait, so he been getting high and freaking off since high school?" But here's the most interesting part, the deafening silence from the rest of the industry. Where are all of Diddy's celebrity friends now? The same celebrities who used to attend his parties, praise his business skills, and celebrate his success. Big sponsors are slowly pulling out. The radio stations aren't playing his tracks as much. Streaming platforms are being asked to delete all his songs. It's like watching a giant collapse. And here we are, watching one of music's most powerful empires possibly collapse right before our eyes. No matter whether Diddy is guilty or not, this trial has already changed so much. It's shown the dark side of an industry that often cares more about money than people. What do you think? Have we finally reached a time where it's more important to be a good person than just to be famous? Will other victims come forward after seeing the bravery it took for these survivors to share their stories? Tell us in the comments below, but please be respectful. We're talking about real people's trauma, not just gossip. Hit that like button if this opens your eyes, subscribe for deep analysis of big stories, and I'll see you in the next one.